Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond BMR. I'm your host, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. And joining me, as always, from Missouri, in Studio B, from the Blondes and the Booze, Paranormal Podcast, Krista. Beyond BMR goes beyond the mysteries of the world. We take you on an adventure with all the rabbit holes. How do they all come full circle? From Bigfoot to Dogman, from UFOs to aliens, time travel to the paranormal. How do these things react? How they come together? Tonight, I have a fantastic guest, author, D.A. Wysong. Not only an author, but also a paranormal experiencer. Going to be a fantastic show. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube, and of course, Texas Front Porch, found on YouTube. You can find us at iHeartRadio, KPNL Radio, Spreaker, and wherever podcasts are found. Don't forget the Super Chat is open. Super Chat, of course, is a great way to help support what we do around here. Thank you so much for that. And what we do around here Mondays is Texas Front Porch, 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesdays, Beyond BMR, 9 in the East. Thursdays, Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, 1 o'clock in the East. Thursday night, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast, 1 o'clock in the East. Need a little more boo with the woos. Friday nights, the Blondes, the Booze, and the Woo, they come on 9 East on Friday. Sunday, new time for text. 2 shows on Sunday. Thank you, War Criminal, for the awesome super chat. Go Lions. We'll talk about that momentarily. But on Sundays, Truth or Tinfoil, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. That's on Texas Front Porch and also on the Truth and Tinfoil new YouTube channel. And of course, Tex comes back with Infamous Minds Sunday, 6 p.m. So it's a little bit of a new lineup change for you guys regarding our platforms, what we have going on. Speaking of what we have going on as well, as most of you may know by now, June 7th and 8th, well, June 8th is the Alabama Bigfoot Conference. June 7th is, of course, the little meet and greet. The speaker lineup, we're led by our host, Tex Wessons, the host. Speakers, Barton Nunnally, Daryl Denton of the Blondes and Booze, Jason McLean, Greg Ogles, Martin Groves, and yours truly, BMR. Tickets are $30 online, $35 at the door at the Anniston Performing Arts Center. So please come down, check us out. It should be a fabulous time. I want to thank everybody that's bought my book, Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, found on Amazon. Thank you for that. The link is posted in the chat. The link is all over. It's in this video or this live show. It's also in my YouTube about page or home page, if you will. If you've bought it when Amazon comes calling, it's all analytics these days. Please leave a review. I would greatly appreciate that as well. And as I said, we got a great show starting tonight, and I got to bring up, and thanks again, War Criminal, for that, my lovely co-host, Krista.
Hey,
what's happening, Krista?
I'm just glad that all of our ice here is gone. That's all.
Yeah, our ice is here because it's been raining. We had a bunch of snow,
right?
And now the snow is now turning into flooding.
Oh man,
flooding all around. Yeah, my streets are half flooded. I had a little leak in the section of the basement of my house, but it's not a big deal. We just got an inordinate amount of snow. I mean, yeah, Michigan snows, but we typically, honestly, in Michigan don't get snow till January or February.
Right. Well, this is January. Just saying.
Yeah, well, I'm still thinking it's December. It's almost the end of January, but yeah, it's like February, and we do get snow in March, right?
I remember having these conversations with you.
We've had, it's kind of nauseating, really. I mean, we talk about this.
Yeah.
I feel like an old guy talking about the weather all the time.
I know. We're really showing our age, Rob.
Oh, my Lord. But when it affects it affects my internet sometimes. That's the big pet peeve, especially
Yeah.
when in the summertime and it gets windy, the lines get all messed up, and in the winter when the lines freeze, the internet gets messed up. They
Right.
actually me another free upgrade on my internet, which I don't really need the extra speed, but
Mm-hmm.
because I bitch all the time about losing my internet, they decided to give me another 100 extra
Yeah.
gigs or whatever the hell it is. I'm not a tech guy.
Yeah.
Randy would know the answer to that.
Can we answer a question just real quick?
Go right ahead.
All right. Carnundrum asked, "Hey Rob, will you be doing questions?"
Yeah, we'll do questions at the end of the show if enough people do it. If you do have a question for DA or anybody tonight, put it in caps. We'll get to it at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, and one last thing, the Detroit Lions are advancing to the championship game this Sunday. Yeah, that's right. We played the 49ers, and as much as I love the Lions, as much as I am a homer for my team, I don't like the odds. All the money, we're the underdogs. An underdog hasn't won the championship game since 2007. So if you are going with history, history's not looking good for the Lions.
Yeah.
And I see
However, my ideal Super Bowl game is going to be the Lions versus the Chiefs. Just saying.
well, I'm rooting. I know we've got a lot of Chiefs fans, and I know we have a lot of Ravens fans.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the Chiefs and Detroit Lion matchup. That would be so awesome.
Oh, that would be awesome. We'll have to sit and drink and drunk text each other.
Yeah, we can go on StreamYard. We'll go on StreamYard and we'll play it in the background, right?
Right.
Well,
There you
yeah,
go.
we'll have to drunk test. I'm sure I won't be home for that. So
That'd be awesome. Yep.
but with that being said, we have an awesome guest, first time ever on the show. She's an author in the paranormal and she's into the cryptids. She's had some experiences. She's from Kentucky, and I'm going to bring up DA Wysong. Hello. Hi, DA. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I don't even know how we met. Well, we've never officially met via the telephone and now live seeing your face. I just remember on Facebook going through, you wrote these books and you always, and I know that you've been a fan of this show, Krista's show, Texas show. And then I did some investigation, and yeah, you're into the paranormal. You're an author. And so I said, yes, I'd like to get this woman on. So thank you for taking your time out of your night to join us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I was excited when Rob said you were coming because, you and I have chatted a little bit,
Yeah.
But yeah, this is cool.
And so before we get started, DA, for people that don't know really who you are, or maybe some do, some don't, I don't know. Why don't you give us a little background? I do have a great bio in the chat or in the view for everybody can read it later. But if you want to walk us through how you got involved with all this.
I love everything paranormal. I've always had it in my life since I was a little girl. And as I got older, I just wanted to start writing about it. So I've had a lot of experiences to go on, and I have a very active imagination. So with the two of them together, it just seemed like I just made one book after the next. That's just unlimited. So, and I have a lot more to go.
Yes, I know you said you got one coming out, a newer one coming out in June. And for everybody that is watching, everything associated with DA, again, it's in this video or this live show, and it's also on my About page. It's going to have all her links, where you can buy all her books and things like that. Certainly, show her some love. She's got a YouTube channel as well. All the links are in this channel, and I know that my mods will drop a few of your links as well for you, DA. And when everyone talks about a paranormal author, or they're talking about, this person writes a book, cool, I want to get into it and find out more about the people. I find that people that write books, and yeah, I used to have a creative imagination, but these phenomenon, I know you've had some experiences. We'll get into that a little later, but talking a little bit about your career, a lot of what you write, though, it's based, there's fiction, of course, associated with it, but there's always an element, right? We talked the other day about like folklore. Things start out somewhere. There's a point of origin where these stories manifest from. And I know that these stories from old folklore, they've got a semblance of truth to them.
Absolutely. I
And
agree.
and I'm guessing that's kind of, when you incorporate these in your stories, you got to be thinking about, yeah, you know what if, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have the experiences, and when I was younger, nobody else really had those experiences. So they just chalked it off as I just had an active imagination.
Right.
But I knew they were going on. I knew it was happening, and then the older I got, the more it happened.
Yeah. And the more that you hear, as far as me, as I've gotten older, it's like, oh boy, that is kind of odd. That is a little paranormal. But when I was young, I just brushed it off like a coincidence. Well, now I don't believe in coincidence,
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I get it.
So why don't you tell the audience, let's talk about one of your books before as we get
Well,
started here.
I have my first. When I first started out writing, I actually started out with children's picture books, and I have 11 of those. And then, it's kind of like I had those books in me, and I just wanted to get them out there. But then once I started really wanting to write what I wanted to write about, it was the paranormal. So I started with Creeper Keepers. And it's basically 14-book series that just has all kinds of different phenomena that I had basically, most of it, went through myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the first book starts out with a haunting, just a typical haunting in the paranormal with that. And it just progressed to one thing after the next, to werewolves, to, Bigfoot, to mirrors. I've actually been updating my Creeper Keepers this month. And because I started writing a screenplay on one of them, and I'd like to see them on a TV show eventually.
Yeah.
So I decided to go back and just start kind of updating the book. So I kind of got re-familiar with them this month. So it's been a lot of fun writing them and updating them. And I just finished, the last one I just finished was on mirrors. And actually it was black mirrors with anatomy of a cell phone. So a lot of people don't they don't correlate mirrors or portals with phones, but they consider that to be black mirrors. Just even TVs, screens, anything reflective.
Mm-hmm.
So that book was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think that kind of resonates with a lot of people, because mirrors, to me, they're a portal. Mirrors are creepy, right? I mean, you can stare into a mirror. We talked the other day about, Bloody Mary in a dark room, spin around 3 times, look back into the mirror. How true is that? Who knows? But mirrors are actually used by a lot of people to actually get to the other side or walk through a portal. Do you think that do you have any belief in it?
They really do. People really do that too.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. I actually had a kind of, what prompted me to think of that book in particular was probably about 15 years ago on Facebook. I had a discussion going on one of my posts, and it was about the Ouija board. So there was probably 200 or 300 different comments, and nobody ever agrees on anything. And basically, I had a particular woman that was over in the UK that practiced using mirrors as a portal.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually, a lot of her pictures had her in front of mirrors with the flashes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really even gave it much thought. It was just another phenomena in the paranormal field, and I never really had any experience on a personal level like that, but I believe it could happen. Things could happen like that. So later on that night, I had actually taken a picture of my bedroom. So I had just put like a canopy up with lights and stuff, and I was kind of showing it off. Well, about 3 o'clock that morning, I woke up just out of a dead sleep, and I looked over, and I had this little sunshine mirror, like a solar mirror, and there was a set of eyes staring back at me.
Oh, wow.
And I knew it was her. I knew who it was. And I got up. I was a little, it kind of took me my step back, and I kind of like, what just happened, And as soon as they stood there for about 30 seconds, and then it just dissipated, Yeah. So I went in. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I got up and I posted, "Have you ever experienced the Watcher?" I named it the Watcher.
Mhm.
and she was the first person to respond.
Wow. Wow.
I do.
Yeah.
So
As far as mirrors, we've done a lot of events, and I've been a member of several paranormal teams. And when we do hold events, some of the rules, we have basic rules, but one of them was there's no Ouija boards can be used. People can bring their own stuff, and we also never allowed scrying,
mm,
just
well,
because,
yeah,
as you
that's
said,
what she did a lot of. Yeah.
hmm yeah, which is with the mirror. So
What's that called? Scribing?
scrying,
Scry, like crying? Scrying?
scrying. Hmm.
Yeah, people do it with water or crystal balls, or
Hmm.
there's all kinds of that's a lot of
Yeah.
different ways to do it. But a lot of people do it with mirrors.
Yeah, yeah, they do. And here's the thing too. And the only reason that we never allowed it, we have a lot of people that are new to the paranormal and want to try out things, and we're all about trying out things. However, some of these tools, scrying can go bad. It can turn
Absolutely.
south. So that's why we never allowed that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Even when in feng shui, they're really funny about having mirrors in your bedroom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, having mirrors facing your bed, especially because
Hmm.
it's been said that it'll drain your energy.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
I
So,
would believe that.
so why is this scrying like a no?
Because to some, like she was saying, they could be a portal that people are opening up, and a mirror is a way, things could come in and out of them. So somebody who's new and wants to try scrying, that's fine, but don't do it at a location where we have to something goes south. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we
Well,
never
because
allowed.
Oh,
you
okay.
Yeah, because you could open something up and anything can come through. Basically, they can use it as an opportunity just to come through.
Yeah.
That we might not want to be hanging out with.
Right. So that's
Okay.
the only reason. I know people who do scrying, and that's fine, but they've been doing it for a long time and they know what they're doing.
Right.
Same thing with the Ouija board. I feel like it's a tool, it's a divination tool. So I know people who use them regularly and they don't have any issues, but they know how to do them. They're not new to it.
Well, I actually have another one of my books, The Creepiest Cemetery Ever, and it was based on one of my good friends, Carla, and she actually had a really scary experience when she was younger with a Ouija board.
Hmm.
And a little
yeah.
boy named Kevin came through.
Wow.
And I read about it in the book. Of course, I didn't really completely, it was just based on her
Mhm.
experience. But I
Right.
think that's a really, I think a lot of people use that as a toy. You can buy them at Walmart, Amazon. They're over by Monopoly, but
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they're nothing to really play with personally.
Yeah.
Not to make
Well-
light of anyway.
Well, like Krista says all the time, it's about really your intent, because I could go in my backyard with some chalk, and I could probably make a circle, a pentagram, kneel
Yeah.
in it, light a candle at night, and ask for something to come through.
Of course. Yeah.
You know?
Any of us can.
And you guys brought up a good point too. I never really thought about this. Let's say you're in the forest, and I believe that there's portals in the forest. I happen to believe it could be it could just be in front of you. It could be a tree, because the forest is alive, right? With things much more so than just the animals of the forest. So I just got to thinking, you could walk through a portal and not know it, and come back here on the present day. But now I just thought, for those of us that, and I don't know, I kind of entertain that. I don't know. If I knew a portal was in a forest, I would consider it. Would I do it? Probably not. I don't know. However, if you were a person that wanted to seek out and walk through a portal, and if you did it in your house with a mirror, that would probably be more dangerous, because when you come back through the mirror inside your house, you might bring something from that side into your house. So that's why it would probably be a lot more dangerous. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. A portal's a open way for, the good and the bad to come through, I feel.
Oh
The
yeah.
hills, they're alive with the sound of portals. I do. but yeah, so that's
Mhm.
very, very true. I got to ask you too, before we go on further, what have you experienced? Because I know that for writing my book, having my encounter certainly was one of the fueling points, as well as talking to all the people that have had encounters. But you yourself have also had some strange phenomena happen to you, correct, Da?
I really have. I mean, when I was young, like probably, I mean, I can remember at 4 and 5 years old, I was astrally projecting. I thought everybody just did it. It was really natural for me. I didn't try it. They didn't even have that name back then that I know that I'm aware of, and I
Mhm.
really didn't even have a name to put to it till I was in my early adulthood. When I was out
Mhm.
on my own and starting to read about the stuff. But I did stop talking about it when I was about 8 years old because everybody thought I was just dreaming, but it wasn't just a dream. It was
Mhm.
completely an astral projection.
Wow.
So for me, right away when I was young, I knew I was different. I just learned not to talk about it. And it didn't matter what anybody said if they thought I was just making it up because I knew better. I was
Mhm.
that confident in myself and comfortable with it. It didn't really scare me.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I started having little experiences, like with the paranormal as far as apparitions, seeing
Mhm.
things, hearing them. Um, but it didn't really start escalating to the point where it got a little overwhelming until I was in my 20s and I moved down to Florida. I was
Mhm.
living down in Tampa, and we had a bunch of roommates, and there was a lot of, it was back in the 80s, and we had a lot, of friends coming in and out, and I had some really intense stuff happen to me down there to the point where my dogs, I had two German shepherds, and they literally one day we were at the beach and we came home, and this was probably after 4 years of continual paranormal experiencing, people that didn't
Mhm.
believed once they were there for a while. But the dogs had completely broke out of a 6 foot by 4 area panel of jealousy windows in the back, like in the
Wow.
living room. And they jumped out of the windows a couple times. So that's like pretty extreme. But, it was just, it started out with the, peripheral vision, seeing things,
Mhm.
feeling things. My favorite aunt had just passed away. My grandmother had passed away. And I think that maybe they were just kind of letting me know that they were there because I was really close to them, and I knew that they'd passed away before I knew it. I mean, that I just knew stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but then it was on a regular basis where furniture would start moving. People would report seeing, shadows and shadow
Right.
people, and it was right there in Tampa where McNeil Air Force Base is real close to that. So there was a lot of transient people and
Mhm.
stuff. I don't. The house wasn't really that old, so I don't know if it had something to do with the house or I just don't know. I was actually just learning how to read tarot cards, so I don't know if doing that kind of opened some doors.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm talking where we had to actually close it was a 3 bedroom house. We actually had to close the back room at one point and lock it because we would walk in there and the temperatures would be really cold. Everything that was on the windowsill would be completely thrown off. It didn't matter how many times we put it on there, and stuff in the furniture would be moved out. Um, so it was that kind of thing, and actually I had one person where it followed them home.
Wow.
So yeah, so they freaked out, didn't want to be in the house alone. She
Mhm.
was actually a girlfriend of one of the roommates, but she wouldn't come back in unless there were people in the house.
Wow.
So I mean, the whole getting on her bed and pushing and feeling it and feeling
Mhm.
something on her, like the whole 9 yards. I didn't really
Oh.
have any physical contact like that, but I did see a lot of stuff, and you'd see doors shaking and I mean,
Mhm.
rattling like pretty aggressively. So just like you just see on a movie. But it
Yeah.
happened all the time. So I think I kind of just desensitized with it because it happened so much. It was just it was kind of an inside joke because people that didn't even believed that
Right.
some of them were kind of atheists even. They didn't even
Wow.
believe in spiritual things.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, so that was
So
about 4 years of that.
So did she get rid of the attachment or that followed her or
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
good deal?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Well,
understand.
go ahead.
You said ghost was your start, So it sounds like you've had a lifetime of experiences with the paranormal.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And it's not just that house. I mean, there's probably been 5 to 6 different houses. Now, this house that I'm in right now is relatively quiet.
Mhm.
But a couple of the houses, there is a lot. I mean, I think a lot of it was residual energy.
Mhm.
And then I think that there really just was ghost activity,
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Um, and out of all the experiences, I mean, there was a couple times down in Florida that it was really intense.
Mhm.
When you're sitting there and you're seeing a door going back and forth and the
Sure.
doorknob, somebody's trying to get in, that you don't take that too lightly. I mean,
No.
you actually I actually a couple times wanted to make sure somebody wasn't trying to get in, but I knew that
Mhm.
wasn't the case. So
Wow. That's
yeah.
that's scary too, because back then it doesn't sound like like you were as comfortable maybe with it as you are now.
No, it was just the beginning of it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I knew that it was happening, and I mean, you couldn't deny it. I mean, everybody knew it was happening.
Yeah.
I think the scariest thing that ever happened to me was, maybe 20 years ago when I actually experienced the shadow people,
Mhm.
seeing them. Those are really, they got some really creepy energy to them, you know?
Yeah, we
Mhm.
got to hear about the shadow people.
I was
Well,
just
I
gonna
mean,
say
it,
the same
it
thing.
wasn't really nothing drastic. It was really kind of fleeting. Um, but it was enough to where it just took my breath away just actually seeing it.
Mhm.
Even when you're having the paranormal experiences with the rattling of the doors and stuff, is completely different from seeing a shadow person. That one time I seen them in the room with me when I was sleeping, and I woke up, and thank God it didn't come back again, and I didn't do anything to make it not come
Mhm.
back.
Right.
And another time I seen one sitting on a porch with his back towards the
Wow.
street, which was kind of, I don't know why I seen that.
Mhm.
Was that the daytime when you saw it sitting on the porch, or nighttime while
It
the
was at
shadow?
night. It was at
Mhm.
night. And I
Wow.
remember it being a full moon. It completely shined right there. I mean, I was like
Mhm.
maybe 3 feet from it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you
I don't know why that happened.
Yeah.
well, who knows why anything happens with
Mhm.
any of us, right? And I have to tell you a quick story on my shadow person that I saw. People in chat might have heard it. Well, I'm sure a handful have, but we get new people in here all the time, and this I'm always infatuated with the shadow people because I know that I saw shadow people in my mid to late 20s. And I was in a dark room, a very dark room and I made it that way. I mean, it was almost like having your eyes shut. And I
Mhm.
was married at the time. And I'm sitting in the room and I'm staring at the far back wall. Now, Krista, I never mentioned this to you. That far back wall as
Mhm.
well, I put up all mirror tiles.
Oh my.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
There
never
you go.
and spearing at when we were talking about mirrors,
Right.
I thought, I never told that. I told this story 1,000 times, but I always failed to mention mirrors because I
Yeah.
think it's no big deal to make mention of that. Now I got to incorporate it back into my encounter, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm staring at that back wall, but it's dark, but there's mirrors on the back wall. And out of the depths of the darkness, again, it's pitch black where you should not be able to see a
Mhm.
shadow. A shadow of a humanoid emerged from the depth of the darkness that
Mhm.
foresee it overtook the darkness of the room.
Mhm.
I mean, it was blacker than black
Yep.
Yeah.
and it was shaped human like.
Yeah.
And I would see this periodically over the next several months.
Mhm.
And then in my house, I would see shadows out of the side of my peripheral vision throughout the house. And then I had to tell my wife, I said, hey, I got to tell you something. You're going to think I'm going crazy, and I'm not. I'm seeing these shadows.
Mm-hmm.
She stops. She looks at me. Oh my God, Rob! I've been seeing the same things. Did you see that shadow person in the room? I go, yeah, I did. So we were both saw it, never together, except for the very last time that we seen it,
Yeah.
which was like later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we freaked out. We thought, well, I guess the house is haunted. I'm at work one day. The wife calls up a paranormal person. I don't know what they even called them back in the 90s. I mean, whatever it was. She got a hold of,
Ghostbuster.
yeah, we called Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd,
Yeah.
Yeah.
expected to see these guys in spacesuits. But no, it was a person about our age, maybe a little bit older. And so, but I wasn't buying this. She was telling us, because we used to collect things from across Michigan and wherever we travel, like trinkets. We had a curio cabinet, so we would go to like thrift shops. We would go to all these quaint little places where you could
Yep.
pick these things up, and we would collect them. And we got a nice collection. Then we set up a room with curio cabinets, and of course the curio cabinets were back with mirrors, Krista.
Wow.
Of course.
And so this, to make a long story short, this person walked throughout the entire house. And of course, the last room she walked into was that room with all these objects that we had collected.
Mm-hmm.
She all of a sudden got very cold. She got a bad vibe, bad frequency, whatever you want to call it. She goes, this is the source of what you're seeing in that room. She goes, I sense something here that shouldn't be here. Then she went on to ask us where all these collectibles came from. And we just picked them up. I went on to say, we both said, picked them up on our travels. We're always, we like these sorts of weird, creepy looking things. And some of them were creepy, and some of them were like a gas pump from, an old Texaco station, but some were like creepy looking cabins. And like one was a witch on a witch broom. So a whole variety.
Mm-hmm.
This is the source. So I'm like hemming and hawing. Okay, well, then she maybe suggested a blessing, a cleansing, and things, and get rid of all the antiques.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, okay, thanks for coming by. Here's your $50. Bye. Yeah. Still not quite believing everything she's saying, but we know there's something going on.
Right.
But and I never mentioned there was negative things going on throughout this entire time with the job and everything, So we still had these happenings, these hauntings, if you will. So I did finally break down. I took all the stuff out, put it in the garage, and sitting in the garage. And within a matter of weeks, the negative energy we felt started going away. We stopped seeing these dark shadow people. We stopped seeing shadows out of the corners of our eyes. Life was positive. Everything was great. So yeah, I guess that was the source, but it was still in our garage. So the next spring for spring cleaning, I go out to the garage, go in the back of the garage, and all those antiques are in the far right corner. So I'm cleaning up. The sun is just in the back of the garage starting to come up. So you could see in just enough where you could clean and do what you need to do. And sure enough, in that corner, guess what emerged from the back of the garage was that dark figure. The dark figure was more pronounced because it was still dusky dark. You could see. And this thing was a humanoid shape with a head, shoulders, arms, everything. And then I started yelling to my wife, get your ass out here. Of course, I say that, it disappears. She comes out, spends 10 or 12 minutes with me. She goes, well, man, you must be seeing something. Then all of a sudden, before she's ready to go to the house, it reappeared in the back of the garage. We both saw it together. And then I knew it. Yep, that's what the source of this was. So I took it, put it back in my pickup truck, took it to the local dump that we had at the time in our neighborhood, dumped it, and yes, called the woman back and had her do a spiritual walkthrough, cleaning, cleansing, whatever it was, put some oil down, burnt some stuff, whatever that was back then. And yeah, had not had problems since. So yes, when someone comes on and talks shadow people, definitely something I've experienced, and it was
Do you
very
think that
was
shadow
frightening.
person was like attached to a particular item? Do you know what
I
that
think
was?
those items probably had something to do with it,
You
but
think
now
all of it?
I don't know about all of it because now we have the interesting twist about the damn mirrors,
Mhm.
right? But I never seen that dark figure come through that back wall. Once
So
I got rid of the objects, everything was cool, right?
you
So I'm
couldn't
guessing
pinpoint which item
I
it was?
couldn't pinpoint which we had like 150. I mean,
Gotcha.
we had
Okay.
4 curio cabinets, 6 foot tall.
Yeah, gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah, and every shelf was littered.
Mhm.
It was, I mean,
Okay.
we threw away a lot of money, but we said,
Yeah, it
who
sounds like it.
cares? We said, who cares? Even at $5 a trinket, it added up,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I don't shop it. I don't garage
well,
sale. I
I
don't
tell
go
you
to
what,
antique shops and buy stuff.
I
No.
don't know more. Nope.
And it's funny how the shadow beings are. They say it's, and it's true. It's darker than dark.
It
It's like
is.
it's just you. You like, how can that even be? But
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, even you look at the black, the edge of this background that we're looking at, how black that is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was
Black.
darker than that, and you
Right.
could see it.
Right.
Very frightful.
Yep. I've
Never
seen
seen
that.
anything like that in the movies.
Yeah.
Well, then you got the dolls.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well yeah,
It's-
that's another thing. Is I mean, dolls. I'm not good with dolls either.
How do you
We
feel
act-
about clowns?
I don't like clowns either. She said that on purpose. I hate clowns.
I don't think anybody likes clowns. Why do they always say kids like
See, they
clowns?
don't bother me. They don't bother me a bit.
I think because I'm the guy who likes to read books. I've never finished the book. I started it 20 times because it's a stupid clown.
That is a scary movie. Watch the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a great movie.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Stephen King knows his stuff.
Oh yeah. He knows his stuff for sure. He's great.
Yeah.
He's great for sure.
Speaking of that, I did see a question since it's it kind of rolls
Yeah,
right
there's some
into
in
that.
there. I've been starring them as I
Yeah.
get
Well,
them.
somebody asked a new person, nice Nichelle Lyle, what author inspired you, DA, and why? Here, I'll start for you.
I really did like Stephen King. He did. He inspires me still to this day.
Hmm.
You know, I think he's really got an inner knowing. I don't think he's had a lot of paranormal experiences, but it seems like he innately knows. So
Yeah.
Stephen King would have to be the one. And I love Ray Bradbury. I
Hmm.
loved his imagination.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you. And so that brought me up to a question too. As a paranormal author, and you've got experiences. We'll talk about a few more too as the show goes on. But I've got to ask you this too. You're involved. You enjoy the creepiness. You enjoy the paranormal. I'm sure you get inspiration for some of your books. So, but do you find though, and you do research in this? I mean, yeah, you make some of it's fiction, but you state too a lot of it is born. You've got a lot from history that you've researched, so on and so forth. How many of that do you manifest on your own, and has affected you personally?
Now, you're asking me if you think I've like
Okay,
created some of it?
number one. Okay, I know me for a fact. If I get immersed in something and I'm really studying it, and even watching something, I have had creepy things happen to me in that subject within a matter of weeks. If I'm really studying it,
Okay, yeah.
and
Well,
now
you
if
know
you're
it-
like you're doing
Yeah.
a book, you're really into it, so you
Yeah.
seeing that manifest in your life. Maybe
Yeah.
not the book, but something totally odd.
Something in the book of some of the phenomena that you're writing
Yeah.
about. Oh, I definitely think so. There was a particular book in my Creeper Keepers trilogy of terror, and I was writing about the black-eyed kids, and that's somebody I wouldn't want knocking on my door.
Nope. You and me
Um,
both.
No, and and even the Men in Black, they say if you start researching either one of those phenomena, that sometimes they do show up at your door. And what would you do if somebody like that showed up at your door? I
Yeah.
really don't think I would open the door.
I don't either. I'm
But
not
that Men
sure I
in
would
Black
either.
have a way of appearing in your house, they say, without opening the door.
Well, I'd rather come across the Men in Black than the Black-Eyed Kids.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, Rob, that takes me to, a question where when I have a new series coming out. The first book will be in June of this year, Monster Hunters of America. And the very last book of that series is going to be Hunting for Tulpas. And
Wow.
I just in the last year, my understanding of tulpas really brings me all the way into the cryptid field in general and the paranormal, because what if we are manifesting some of these things that we're seeing in the woods?
Right.
It used to just be a Bigfoot. It just used to look one way. And then we had the werewolves, but there really wasn't a dog man. And now there's frog man, and now there's they just have all. There's like, I don't know, 8 different types of Bigfoot. What if and how when you see something, people can look at one thing and they would describe it maybe somewhat the same, but it would be a little different. And maybe some of that concept of that could be that we're manifesting it, which would be a tulpa. I mean, stranger things happen.
Yeah.
Like, I believe it 100%. I believe I can manifest stuff. I think I have, and it's funny that a lot of people in the paranormal world, I mean, even you, Krista, you believe that you can manifest stuff if you try hard enough. You just choose not to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do that every day, whether we know it or not.
Yeah.
Some of us are just kind of more in tune.
We actually just did a show with Anne Celine and we talked about manifesting, and it's not only, manifesting, the good, what you want in your life, it's your attitude, but however, you talk paranormal, just like a poltergeist. A poltergeist is manifested.
Oh, definitely. It's from, a lot of times from a young teenager, or it could be an older person that's going through hormonal, changes. Yeah, I definitely, poltergeist activity, I think, can be a couple different things, but I think a lot of times it is manifested from a person that
and they don't even realize, that they're doing it, but.
Right. Exactly.
I also believe that we all can do some sort of telepathy. I don't believe that it's just all intuition. And I do believe everyone to follow their gut, follow your intuition. You walk into a store and you get the sense that, it's going to get robbed. A lot of people get that and they leave, and all of a sudden, something happened, and we all have that sense where we can feel somebody watching us. You could be standing in a line at a grocery store and you just turn around, you think someone's looking at you. Sure enough, they are. I think we all can do that, but I think many of us can take that to just another level. I know I can. I've done it and proven it to myself.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, I think a lot of this, Glenn says to manifest some money for you. Well, I'll do my, Glenn, when I manifest a couple million, I will, I'll telepathically shoot it over to you on your PayPal account.
Send me some too, Rob, while you're at it.
I
want in on it too.
I just made it. I just put it out in the universe. So guess what? It's going to happen, and you all are going to be benefactors. As long as you're in the chat room, you'll all be benefactors.
No, I do think that we definitely, researching and then when you have a little bit of imagination, I really do think that things can be manifested for sure.
Yeah, for sure. 100% agree.
And again, I love this subject so much because I relate so much more to paranormal than Bigfoot. I had a Bigfoot encounter. I did. The biggest traumatic thing that ever happened to me, first and foremost. But it's like and again, I always hate to repeat myself, but when I have a cool guest on, who just brings up these things that have happened to me, which I'll probably write a book about myself, right? Not that I'm a narcissist, but I got some things that happened, right?
I would love to hear about your experience, because I know a little bit about it, and I'll tell you, if I had an experience, I've had a lot of experiences, but I've not ever had one as frightening as what I remember your experience was.
Yeah.
That would be life changing. I mean, I don't know if I don't know if I could come out of my house for a while.
Right.
Yeah,
I think I'd be reclusive.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's because, and I even say that, yeah, I get it, and that's something that I've talked about that ad nauseum. In fact, Barry Littleton is gonna be on my show Thursday afternoon. Me and Barry, he knows a lot about this, and he's broke down my Bigfoot, his theories.
What is his theory?
Well, I don't know. He's gonna give it to me Thursday.
Oh, okay.
It's for the show this Thursday.
Because, I mean, from what I remember, you thought it was demonic because it sounds.
I
demonic.
did. Well, today I don't think it's a demon, but my story will never change. Back in 2018, yeah, absolutely, I thought it was a Bigfoot that turned into a demon. But I wanted to reflect back on this paranormal, this energy, because like I was saying, how I resonate with a lot of these things you're saying, because I told, and again, Christy, you've heard the story, but it's just always on the tip of my tongue about, I'll never forget this kid that I hated, and hate's a strong word. I shouldn't use that. I thought he was very creepy. Something wrong with this guy. Ever since the age of 5 through 18 through 21, he was always in school with me. I told all my friends, my mom, my dad, there's something evil about this kid. And I used the actual word evil at the age of about 8 or 9. And what kids say evil, right? It was just the word I used, right? And everyone said, Rob, you don't like him just because he likes your brother better. He's better looking. He made the basketball team and you're too short. Always the reason why Rob was wrong. But I'm like, no, that has nothing to do with jealousy. I was the last jealous dude in my whole school. I didn't care. I did my thing. But, we're playing in gym class. We're playing soccer. And I ran into this kid, and it was shirts for skins. For people that don't know, in gym, remember, it was boy class, obviously, all boys. So we're on the field. So that's how you differentiated the teams. Somebody wore a shirt. The other team didn't wear no shirt. So I ran into this kid playing soccer. We rolled around on the ground. We had this body contact, skin to skin, kind of, right? And in my head, I felt I had to push away from this guy because in my mind, I felt evil energy. I'm 18 years old. I'm a senior in high school. Felt evil. And I never want to look at this. I could not look at this kid from that going forward, man. I could not. So I go off to college. 4 years later, I get back from college. My mom and dad tell me, that kid that you said was evil, well, you could never stop talking about how bad this guy was. Never did a bad thing in his life that I knew about, right? Well, he did something bad, all right. Yeah, Rob, you're right. He's locked up in Jackson prison. I go, what did he do? Murdered his grandmother.
Oh, my.
There you go. So, yeah. So I think we all have. So my insights, my intuition are off the charts, I think. Yep. I knew this for a long time. And that's one of maybe 20 stories I could tell you, but that is the most horrific, right? A lot of the other ones are nicer or more pleasant, and some are creepy, but yeah. And when I was told that, I didn't know what to say. I knew that was
a confirmation for sure.
Right.
Yes.
To trust your instinct.
Absolutely it was. And
absolutely.
So again, and then you think, so what's your thoughts on this? I think if you see things, if you have open minds, they talk about that third eye, right? I think that if one's open, I mean, being a paranormal author, you're open to everything, doing what I do, Krista does, the blondes, the boos, Tex, all of us. I think we're more apt to see these things, whether it's Bigfoot or ghosts or have a strange paranormal encounter.
Sure.
Right.
Oh,
what's your thoughts?
I'm actually working on my first screenplay, and I entitled it Soul Catchers. And it's really a fascinating, concept. The whole thing is. I'm going to actually turn it into a novel as well. But I believe that when you are open and have one paranormal experience, whether it's a UFO or a cryptid or like a haunting or or something, on that line, I think you open yourself up to all of it.
I would agree.
I think it's all tied in together. And I think that I've heard it termed as the hitchhiker effect.
Mhm.
I mean, I actually, in the story that I'm writing, it's a paranormal investigator, and she has a near-death experience, and she's on a paranormal investigation, and she actually leaves, and then she has the accident, and she has a near-death experience. And I am trying to tie it into the UFO phenomena. So there's also the UFO phenomena where we automatically think it's just a traditional haunting. I think a lot of times it could be that there might be some extraterrestrials or aliens or interdimensionals, whatever you want to call them, that's going on in your house. I don't think it's always a traditional haunting, so to say, so to speak.
I'm of the opinion that today nothing is so-called traditional anymore.
No, it's not. No.
No.
But for the longest time, if there was something that went bump in the night, you automatically thought it was a ghost. I don't really think that's the case anymore. I think that they manifest sometimes, and I think sometimes it can be a ghost or a spirit. Sometimes it can be something malevolent, and then other times I think it can be something extraterrestrial. So,
You know what? I got to take a quick 10-second pause.
Yep.
We're not taking a break. We're going to go 10-second pause so we can edit the, what do you call it, the podcast and all that. So I'll take a little bit of time here really briefly to thank War Criminal, Catherine Gay, Pancho Zorch, Kenzie Keeney, Michelle Delaney 2 times for your awesome super chats. Jennifer Patterson just pulled up a super sticker. Thank you to you as well. The super chats, super stickers, I appreciate it. Very humbled. Great way to help do what we do around here. Thank you for that. Don't forget, subscribe to Texas Front Porch on YouTube, the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube, and Bigfoot Mystery Rob on YouTube. I see my buddy Duke's out there, World Bigfoot Central. And Miss, we'll take this break too, DA, because your links are provided to my mods, and it's also in this video. Where can people find you? Then we'll start out with part 2 of the show.
okay.
You can do that now.
Oh, okay. You can find my books on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and lots of libraries. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and I have my own YouTube channel, DA Wysong Monster Hunters. So you can find me on all those places.
All over.
Thank you for that. And again, all the links are provided in this video.
Thanks,
Yeah,
I
you're welcome.
appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem.
And actually, your mods have been rocking it. They've been dropping her link quite a bit.
Awesome. Thank you to my mods. I must say before we continue on, we do have, and of course, this goes for your channel in Texas as well. We have great people in chats. Great audience, whether you're in chat or not. Thanks, Chris, for that. Great people in chat, great audience. Even people that don't watch or that do not participate in chat, got a big audience that really loves what we do, and I thank you for all your support. And I can say that for Kristen and Tex as well. So thanks.
Absolutely.
So I was all excited during that little segment there. I mean, when we get talking this stuff, we can go on and on.
Oh, I
Brandy,
know.
you're Kristen.
Did you really just call me Brandy?
He called you Brandy. I heard him.
He did. He did. That's all right. It's a good thing I like Brandy, so it's not an insult.
No,
Yeah,
it's not.
well, I always tell people this: Krista and Brandy and Krista are interchangeable for me.
Yeah,
See,
we are.
I love them both equally.
Yes. You say that all the time.
I do. And I mean it.
Are you saying you don't have a favorite, Rob?
No favorites. No favoritism.
See, I have lots of favorites, and they all know it. They're all my favorites.
They're all your favorites.
Well, that's a good way they're all my favorites. Yeah.
They're all my favorites. Each and one of them.
Well, I will tell you this is turning into one of my favorite shows.
Awesome.
So I did a lot of talking there, Chris. So what do you got to I know you've been talking to. What do you got for Miss DA that we can talk about?
Let's switch over to like the cryptid side of things. And have you had any encounters with Bigfoot or Dogman or
I have not had no experience as far as cryptids go, but I want to have an experience. So,
Mhm.
I'm going to have to put myself out there.
Right.
Serpent Mound is not that far away, so I plan
Mhm.
on going out there and go hiking here soon. And Land Between the Lakes is only about 4 hours south of me. I'd love to go
Mhm.
down there on an excursion. Um,
That's right up Krista's alley.
get my feet wet. I would love to. I would love to have that experience. I would love it
Mhm.
so much that I actually think about it a lot, and it's actually what prompted me to start writing the Monster Hunters of America. So I actually picked out 22 states out of our country, and each state is correlated with a cryptid that I'm going to write about. So
Awesome.
the first one will be coming out in June, which is going to be the rise of the cryptids, which is going to be talking about a lot of inner Earth and
Mhm.
the time travel and just the woo.
So
Yeah.
I do have to ask you then, when you go out, this sounds like a fascinating book.
Mhm.
Are you going to be actually going out though, like with your books? Do you actually go out in the field? Will you be going out in the field?
I am planning on getting out in the field. Yeah, I mean, I'm right across from Cincinnati. Literally, the flood wall's 5 minutes from where I'm at. And Adams County's a little bit, it's probably within 40-minute drive.
Mhm.
Which is, a little bit further out is where the Serpent Mound is and all that. But there's a lot of Bigfoot activity, and actually, they've actually got a lot of audio sounds from that particular area.
Wow.
So I would really like to get out there. Just because I like being outdoors, I like hiking, and I think if I put myself out there, just like any of us, if we put ourselves in a place where it could be an opportunity, you never know what might happen. So even if nothing does happen, my active imagination will be going to town.
Right.
So just getting the feel of being out, in the
Yeah.
outdoors and stuff.
Do you have other people to go out with? Because I definitely don't recommend going alone.
I mean, I really don't. I mean, I can find friends and stuff that are willing to go. Yeah, for
Good
sure.
deal. Good
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, we was lifelong paranormal people, and then these creatures kind of took over now. Now we're all about going out and research. And so once you go out, you'll get that itch, and you'll want to keep going and going and going back.
Well, I don't know why, and but I don't think there's any one particular type of Bigfoot. I'm of the school that I really do believe it's pretty much an interdimensional being.
Mhm.
Actually, the book that I've got for Illinois is the Big Muddy and the Elementals.
Mhm.
I think that particular area is
Mhm.
very woo. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of fae in that area, and I think that there's a lot of probably dogmen and amphibians and just all types. But in that particular book, I'm going to have Bigfoot coming in on orbs, coming in through into the area through
Wow.
orbs. And I think that when they come into our realm, I think is when they can manifest into what we call
Mhm.
Bigfoot.
Wow.
But yeah, so being in a different dimension, though, I think the frequency's different, and I actually really believe that they're really in tune with the trees. I think sometimes they can become part of the trees. So in that particular Bigfoot story, that's the way I'm going to portray that particular cryptid. There's
Well,
going to be, yeah.
trees, Bigfoot. I do believe they manifest out of trees, and as I much believe that trees are a portal.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
And you mentioned the Fae. It's again. I always say all these things are connected.
Yep.
Paranormal. You mentioned the Fae, and I think a lot of it starts with the Fae as well. I mean, with a lot of these interdimensional beings.
Yeah, well, going back to the trees, my friend from high school, we had her on our show not that long ago. It had been 20 years ago, and she finally was comfortable enough to tell me that she was deer hunting up in northern Missouri and watched these creatures come out of a tree. She described them, couldn't figure it out, kept, Googling her different things. And I sent her a puck wedgie, and that was it. 5 of these things came out of a tree on all fours, and then they got up and walked away on 2s. So
I believe that.
and they come out of a tree.
I actually have a book that's coming up on Pugwagies too, and it's going to be up north, I think, around New Hampshire. I'm not positive on which state I've got that on there.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely think so. Yeah, and they can be very ornery.
And I have no reason not to believe her. You know, I mean, I've known her my whole life, just about, and she never lied to me before. You know, and she honestly, knowing what I do, we had dinner, and she's like, "You're going to think I'm crazy, but I got something to tell you." You know, and she kept it secret for 20 years. You know, I was like, I don't think you're crazy, man. I've heard some weird stuff. So,
well, you know, we all have. And you know what's so cool? I strike up conversations with people wherever I go, and I'm kind of to the point where I try to get stories out of people, and it's kind of awkward. I haven't quite got my spiel down, but I do it, and if I stumble, I stumble. Then usually, though, people are like, they start talking with me because I'm very easy to talk to if you never even met me, right? But you know, but if you're going back and we're talking like DA, you said, Krista, you said, a lot of this is like even in the book and all the people we have on these shows, it's all about the data. You know, you're talking about Bigfoot manifesting out of a tree and then walking off on all fours, or Bigfoot manifested out of an orb and then went back up into the orb and was gone. You know, the people that don't follow what we talk about think we're crazy. And I get that. That's to each their own. But you get so much data comes in. It's just me as a person to Krista as a person. DA, I'm sure you get people that tell you things.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just one person. And all this data, if you really look at it hard, that's why I say a lot of these things are the same. And I don't mean Bigfoot's the same as a ghost. No, but they are connected because a lot of these stories or a lot of these accounts, they have a lot of the same parallels. They have a lot of the same traits.
Yeah.
And data does not lie. When you have, you know, Bigfoot crossing the road, there's a million stories about that. And that's great data. I don't care that it's a boring encounter, but it happened. And when you're doing research and you're doing exploring, you're writing books, whatever your career is, you need the data. That's important in any part of life. I don't care what you tell me.
Yeah, patterns do not lie. You can watch somebody's actions, their words, but their patterns always tell. And it's the same with cryptids. Same with anything. And don't you find it interesting that Bigfoot knocks on the wood? Just like that was like an old thing where pagans would knock on the trees for help, you know, like guidance and stuff. But I find it interesting that they're definitely communicating something like that. And then I do believe there's flesh and blood Bigfoot. I mean, you know, like Patty, you know, I just think there's different. I don't think it's just one thing. I don't think it's two things. I don't think it's three things. I think it's a mirage of things.
Yeah, no.
I think some are really aggressive too. I think the ones up north are way more aggressive than what I'm seeing, you know, and hearing about down south. You know, or on the east,
right?
I think in the northwest, you know, especially up around Alaska, I think they're very aggressive.
What's typically what we hear a lot about, right? A lot of accounts, and I wonder why. And you know, if you go back and ponder that, maybe it's because Alaska is such a vast land and it's a tough land to live in. I don't care if you're an animal, if you're Bigfoot, you're a human being. I mean, certainly a Bigfoot can live in it like no big deal. I get it. But I think they get bigger. I think they see less people, right?
True.
I mean, if you lived in Washington State or Oregon, I mean, if you go into a bar in Washington State and you're just brand new to the bar, no one knows you, and you just say, hey, who here's had a Bigfoot encounter? Half the bar would raise their hand, and half the bar would not think that you're drunk because they accept it as part of their culture. If you go in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and go to a restaurant or gas station and ask about any Bigfoot sightings, they don't give you that look like they do in the suburbs, right? Where they're like, oh, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It's because, too, a lot of people are coming out with these stories more and more. There's still many people that don't want to, and I think that still the percentage of people that don't are higher than the ones that do. But I
Right.
bet you're up 15, 20% in the last 10 years. Easy.
Yeah. Well, there's more outlets now for them to feel comfortable talking about their encounters, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, how could you hold something like that in? That would have to be horrible to have
Mhm.
that life changing of an experience and not be able to talk about it and
Yeah.
fear
Yeah.
of ridicule.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, for me, I can speak from personal experience. I held it in for quite some time. And the minute that I told the story for the very first time,
Mhm.
I actually did it in a video, a personal video. I didn't have a YouTube channel, but I made up a YouTube video that someone suggested back when I didn't even know anything about YouTube other than I watched music on it. I tell you what, you guys, I made a video. I must have restarted a million times because, and I'll admit to this, when I was speaking the words of my encounter out, I would get emotional. And then
Mhm.
I'd have to stop, redo it, edit it, stop, redo it,
I
edit
can
it
see that.
Mhm.
but you know, the more and more that I started doing it on a radio show where I wasn't seen, then I did it like on a show like this where you could be seen. And every time, and even to this day when I tell the story, it's just good therapy, right?
I
Mhm.
think so
Especially if
too.
it was like mine. Not everybody has a traumatic experience. I tell you what, seeing a beast 10 foot tall, covered in hair that looks like a human, but you know it's not, that's traumatic. Even if it just looks at you, whistles at you, and disappears in the woods. That to me still has some trauma associated with it,
Yeah.
or shock value, right? Because
Mhm.
they're not
And you,
supposed to exist, right?
and you had the infrasound, didn't you?
Yeah, I got hit with something. Like Duke
Mhm.
in chat says, I got hit with the sonic boom of
I mean,
whatever
did
it
it
was.
drain you? Did it drain you?
I just couldn't even explain it other than I saw in black and white. I was paralyzed.
Well,
I was
Yeah.
yeah,
confused. It seems like time stood still.
disoriented.
Didn't
Yeah.
get sick, but I was disoriented. Yes. Thank you, Kenny,
Yeah.
again. Thank you so much. So much.
Yeah. You know, it is, you know, like you said, you had an awful encounter, you know, but however, you know, Brandy and ours wasn't awful, you know. So do you think it might be different types of Bigfoot or,
Oh, yeah. That's
you
what I think.
know, could be.
Did yours just disappear, Rob? Did it just appear and
I
then
couldn't tell you.
disappear?
It just, well, like again, I hate to, the, I just happened, it was throwing rocks supposedly at us from the shoreline. Um, my my girlfriend said, "Rob, someone's throwing rocks at the boat," and I'm like, whatever. And I looked. Every time I looked, nothing was there. And then for whatever reason, I looked up. I looked to Cindy, and she's like standing, staring at the shoreline, all turned white. And I
Mhm.
look, and it was just standing there. Just I looked up and saw a rock coming out of the sky finally. And then I looked to my right and looked at Cindy. Then I looked to what she was looking at, and it was just standing there 90 feet away. So
Mhm.
I never seen it appear, nor did I see it disappear because when she got knocked off the boat, I got hit with that sonic boom, knocked
Right.
her off the boat. I went paralyzed. I couldn't move. I saw it like through a filter. And my main concern was getting her in the boat. Then when I finally did, then I looked to the shoreline, it was gone.
Mhm.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
unlike
I don't know how you like, I would have had nightmares like repeatedly
Mhm.
after that.
oh I know I had some PTSD going on for a long time.
Mhm. And
I
you
can,
didn't talk about it either at
I
first.
talked about it for a long time, and getting
Mhm.
back to what we were just talking about, it's good therapy to talk it out, right?
Right.
So
right.
today, I've said that story 1,000 times probably. I'm having another guy come on Thursday. Barry's going to be on Thursday. He's going to give his in-depth analysis on it
Mhm.
because I like people giving me their thoughts. And Barry's really thought out guy, knows a lot of experience. So that'll be a cool show Thursday. And I'm always like, I don't want to talk about my encounter no more. But you know what? It's so weird. People are like, "Oh, Rob, we love hearing it every time." What I like now is finding
Mhm.
out the different theories, the different thought processes. Like back in the beginning, I thought it was a flesh and blood creature that turned into a demon. Well, today I don't think it was a demon. Today I don't think it was a demon. And again,
Mhm.
I don't want to talk I mean, we could take 50 minutes talking about that. We'll just save that for another day.
Right.
But I think it's something. What is it? I will never say it 100% was a Bigfoot. That's what I will always say. I don't know 100% what it was.
Sure.
Now, where did that exactly happen?
That was in Michigan, northern Michigan, Cadillac, Michigan, on Lake Mitchell.
Lake Mitchell.
It was
And is
connected to Lake
that
Cadillac.
particular area known for sightings, or
That county is known for the Bigfoot, and it's also known as the Dogman capital of Michigan. So
you
no, it's not
definitely think-
uncommon. It's not uncommon to have Bigfoot or Dogman out there. But I did not know that at the time, because I could give two craps about Bigfoot. In 2018, I wasn't even doing this. I liked watching my horror films and paranormal. I did believe that Bigfoot existed, though, because that's who I am. I saw the Patty, and I saw Leonard Nimoy. So, yeah, I always believed that I saw a UFO at 5 or 6. I saw a ghost at 8. I had, with the wife, saw dark shadow people. So I knew Bigfoot.
Yeah,
I knew Bigfoot.
You've experienced that hitchhiker effect. You've experienced all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I never questioned the existence of Bigfoot even as a kid. I figured, yep, they're probably out there, because that's just me. You know, and I would always watch if there was so few shows on Bigfoot when they came out. You know, Leonard Nimoy, The In Search Of, I saw Patterson Gimlin. And then whatever it came out, they had movies about the Abominable Snowman, Yeti. I watched all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I watched all the paranormal stuff. And so I always was never closed-minded kid. And even today, I'm definitely not closed-minded now. I'm more open than ever.
Me too.
You know, so yeah. So, man,
I mean, if all of your encounters alone don't tell you that it's intertwined somehow, because you've witnessed everything.
Yeah, I really have, except I have
UFOs, cryptid, ghosts, missing time, everything.
And forgot you missing time, right? Out on the lake, out on the river, Detroit River.
Yeah.
And also, the only thing I haven't experienced, which I want to experience, is a aquatic cryptid living here in the state of Michigan, of course. And we got to go investigate some of these lighthouses. We got a whole.
That'd be cool.
I want to do the lighthouses. That's on my list to do.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't remember the name of that movie, but there was a movie that was about, I think they were in Scotland, like lighthouse keepers, and they had the blue. Did you ever see that? Can't remember the. They had the blue cryptid water aquatic. It was creepy. I'm not going to go into it a whole lot, but that was supposed to be based on true events.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
But the Ohio River has a lot of. That's where the Frogman, the Loveland Frogman, is right across the river there.
Wow.
Which I think the Frogman Festival is coming again this year. I think the first one was last year. I didn't get to know it, but I would like to.
That'd be cool.
I mean, something like that. Listen, the Frogman Festival. You know, most people would say, "What? You know, come on!" But you know what? Yeah, you know, I'd go. I believe that.
I think Jessica Jones was there last year.
She was. She did it. Yeah. She did a whole show on it and stuff like that. So.
And I totally believe that that's a real thing. That really did happen. Wow. I really think they're along the river.
And even another thing, you know, Jason McLean, good friend, he wrote a book, and part of his book is dedicated to the Goat Man, the Goat Man of Dallas or Fort Worth, right? I mean, you know, I will never say that none of these things exist. I think everything exists. You know,
there's too many credible people out there. You know, there's no way.
Hey, listen.
Doesn't it make you wonder though why they're all coming out? Like it seems like they're just coming out of the woodwork. The more and more that we see them, there.
Yeah.
I think it's because we're all in tune to it. Really, you know, I think the average Joe probably has no clue.
Right.
And I do think that more people like shows like this or any other show, we do get a lot more people that come on. Like you guys, Krista knows this. I've got in my email, I've got like over 53 emails that I haven't opened that people sent me their encounters.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
pretty crazy. And I think, the internet has a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, that's true.
10 years ago, we had dial up, or a little longer, but I mean, 15 years ago, say we had dial ups. Who wants to sit and, we didn't have
oh
Right.
yeah.
shows, podcasts, and stuff.
So, Krista, you've been down at Land Between the Lakes. Do you have any kind of an experience with Dogman or personally?
Well, not really that, we can say like Dogman. It's been more like on the ghost side of things and unknown side of things. Like one night we were down there. Now Brandy saw eye shine, and there was like 10 of us around a campfire. And we all throughout the whole evening saw different orbs, different colors and different sizes. And they were like circling us all evening. And the one I actually saw was like the size of a beach ball. So
Wow, what color was it?
It was an orangish reddish.
They were all orangish reddish?
Nope. As some people seen blue ones, some people seen white ones. Actually, Bart Nunley, that night he interviewed Martin Groves around the campfire. And I think it's like the 17-minute mark, but he actually captured an orb in the tree line, didn't even realize it. Well, during
that was down by Land Between the Lakes?
It was at Land Between the Lakes. Yeah, we were at one of the campgrounds there. It was mid-January, freezing our butts off with the fire, and yeah, it was pretty weird. And we also, I can't say it was anything. It was a Bigfoot or a Dogman or anything, or even a ghost. Just because like we were sitting around the fire, and Letitia Nunley, she's in chat, and War Criminals in chat, and they were both there. And Letitia actually got up and moved because her back was like towards the woods, and you could hear something coming up. You shine flashlights, and there wasn't nothing, not a squirrel, not a deer, nothing.
And they say that they're both Dogman and Bigfoot is down there. That they're one.
Oh, absolutely, they are.
The lake and the others on the north.
Well, no. So that is what they say. However, there are Bigfoot on both sides. There are Dogmen on both sides.
Really? Yes. See, I thought they were really territorial.
No. Like if you ever listen to like Martin Groves' encounter, he had his encounter was with both.
Oh yeah, I think I do. When him and his buddy, where they had the experience all day long, and then it was like a showdown at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like that they, they intermingle to a degree.
Yeah, just like I said, in Wexford, Michigan, there's Dogman sightings and there's also Bigfoot sightings. I think that they share the same space, but they stay away from each other. They don't get in anybody's business. Now, however, though, if you talk to some First Nations people that I have, one is a protector of the forest and the other one is a protector of evil. So it's really, again, you can turn this into another topic just on First Nations legends, and all are not the same. Right. Some First Nations people think it's nothing but a ethereal or a paranormal spiritual being, where others are no, it's just an animal, right? Or a spirit animal or flesh and blood animal. So again, that's why these topics are so, you can talk ad nauseum about all of them and have your various information.
Yeah. I think they're both out there, because for me, myself, what Brandy and I witnessed, it was definitely, there was no woo to it. There was no lights beforehand. There was none of that. It was flesh and blood, 110%, however, I can't explain what I saw at the LBL with 10 people there. We all saw it, and it kept going on all evening that we were there.
Well, with the orbs there, especially, that, really fascinating.
And it was the middle of January. There wasn't nobody else out there. So it wasn't like anybody was out there walking in the woods or, with flashlights. Yeah. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But, the LBL has just a whole different vibe at nighttime.
They do. It does.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, and then there's Dogman that could be, being tampered with, where the military, the government could be cloning them and tweaking them and making them into super soldiers. And, mixing them with another. I mean, there could be a Bigfoot dogman creature by the time we get around.
You
No,
know,
I agree with you. I agree
there-
with you. And that's what they say, like the LBL. They say, there's possibly underground, tunnels and stuff under there
We
that,
got 400 miles of caves in
yeah, there
Kentucky
you go.
alone that we know of.
Yeah, there you go.
thank you, Maggie.
Mhm.
So,
So,
and again, another theory. I believe government is put together or bioengineered some
mhm.
sort of hominid, maybe perhaps, yeah, a dog man. We hear about the dog man, quote unquote, super soldier or whatever. There's just so many
Yeah.
avenues you can go. So I think that our government's up. They're
Mhm.
making stuff out there.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got these underground military bases. What are they all? What are they really
Yeah.
doing?
Well,
Why do they
that's
have
what
to go underground? They can't
well,
do it in a
that's what I
lab on
feel
an
like,
army base.
like the LBL, maybe there is an underground, and then these people go missing, or there's so many stories out of there. I think they let them out to feed.
Or they could be feeding on them, or also using them to use DNA and tamper with them to create more super soldiers.
That's true too. Yeah.
I don't think it's an either or thing. I think there's,
Mhm.
definitely feeding on them, and they've got some kind of tracking device in them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
they
yeah,
know
for sure.
exactly what they're doing.
For sure. But then, you look at like the Mars encounter, where it like morphed. So I believe that they're both. I believe they can be flesh and
think they
blood, and
are
I
too.
believe that they can be interdimensional, and
I do believe they can be both. I'm
Mhm.
on that bandwagon. I'm out in the Aper camp because I think they're
Mm-mm.
both. I think that, and you're talking about how you just mentioned, Krista, about releasing these creatures into the forest. Well,
Mhm.
hey, we all heard about the 401, right?
Right.
Bigfoot gets beat up for being a contributor. I'm not so sure about that. If there's a rogue, perhaps, but I tell you what, I think you guys all know this. Our government wants to control the population. And what a better
Absolutely they do.
way to have some disturbing project that they could control. I can
Right.
see the headlines: governmental operation goes haywire,
Right.
releases what into the national forest,
Mhm.
kills 17. Yeah, that's not an accident, you guys, when these
No.
things happen.
No, absolutely not. And here's the thing, a lot of these places, the LBL included, they say there's like wild hogs and things out there like that out there. Now, I personally haven't seen a wild hog, and they closed a campground out there because they were eradicating the wild hogs, but yet, I'm not saying they're not out there, but I don't know.
They're not the
Yeah.
problem that they're proclaiming it to be.
Yeah. The wild hogs might be
handle-
getting the
we can
blame for
handle-
things.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
can handle thinking that there's a wild hog, but not a wild hog man out there running.
Right. Yeah.
There'd be a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah.
I did want to take this. I did want to promise myself in my head, DA, to put you on the spot, and I told you I wouldn't earlier yesterday.
Mhm.
Well,
I'm
okay.
I'm just kidding. You are an author. You've written many books. So, what I'd like to hear, you can pick anything that you want. Pick a story that you can share with our audience, because we're getting close. We can go over 90 minutes, not a problem. I mean, not for your story, but for the show.
Right.
If you want to pick, give us. It could be anything. It could be fiction, factual, whatever comes on the top of your head. Tell us something that to entertain the crowd. Because I tell you what, they love you. Your links are out. People are giving you a lot of praise, DA.
Awesome.
I think you got about 15, 20, 30 new fans. So you're going to be, so yeah. So thanks everybody in chat for supporting DA
Appreciate
Wysong.
that.
Mhm.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
I my last book that I wrote, Ghosts of Northern Kentucky,
Yes.
is really fascinating in the sense that it's not just this particular area that concept is. The area that you live in Michigan, and then where Krista lives, we all have ghosts
Mhm.
that have imprinted what our area was known for. And in my particular area, we were the original Sin City.
Mhm.
So I really felt compelled to. I wasn't a native Kentuckian. I grew up over in Cincinnati, but I've made Kentucky my home for about 40 years.
Yeah.
And it's just a thriving little metropolis. It's like a little sleepy river town, along the Ohio River, and I just love the area. But we definitely have a lot of mobster ties.
Yeah.
The mob before Las Vegas was ever put on the map, and just Bobby Mackey's is literally 7 minutes down the road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have you been?
Oh, yeah. I've been there a couple times. And there's actually a chapter about Bobby Mackey's in my book.
Wow.
Wow.
It's closed now, though, isn't it?
The 31st of January, I think they're going to have 3 final ghost tours with eerie investigations. I don't know if that's the whole name of them. And they're booked. You can't get in, but they're going to remodel, and I'm not sure what degree if they're leveling it, or I just know it's going to be the last time you can see it the way that it's been, because it's sat there since the 1800s when it was their house. So it's, that was one of the places I went out there and snapped some pictures and stuff. And I know that it's on a fault line, so I can't imagine them being able to level it. But it's a really creepy place.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. It's not for the faint of heart to go in. And the river, so the Ohio River is like right across from Cincinnati, but then literally 7 minutes, Kentucky River goes into the Ohio River, which runs backwards. And Bobby Mackey's is right on there. So I think that has something to do with why the activity is so much, and plus the basement is limestone, so both of them would be conductive to portals.
Sure.
But it was a slaughterhouse, and then the 2 prior places that it was before Bobby Mackey's was all mob run, just like all the way down Lynx Pike. And I mean, at one time, I think within a 30-year span, Newport, Kentucky had 330,000 brothels, if you can even.
Wow. That's a lot.
That's why we still have one street that goes into Cincinnati and one road that comes back out, 4th and 5th. And that's why they designed it like that. There was just so much traffic going back and forth.
Wow.
But yeah, and it's funny how when you start researching the history of your particular area, because we all have it, have some kind of a history. But the mob ties are very interlinked, like a chain, all the way down to the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland 4 actually came and actually started taking over probably sometime in the 70s.
Wow.
When the Beverly Hills Supper Club burnt down. That's literally about 10 minutes away, too. I don't know if you're familiar with that fire, but like 166 people died from the fire. It was in 76. And that was they didn't conclude that it was, but the fire marshal thought it was an inside job, which was about the mob. And the second time that it was burnt down, the original place on that particular property was burnt down by a hitman from the mob named Red Masterson. So that was like 38, and then again it happened in 76. So twice it happened.
Wow, very cool.
And what's really interesting is they're building a little suburbia right there now as we speak. So I guess a lot of the people that started that going on didn't get to watch Poltergeist, because
right? No kidding.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate, but there was such a tragedy with that, with 166 people dying. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's my latest book, and it's going really well. A lot of people are buying it. It's good. It's interesting. I based it as a fiction, but it's definitely got a whole lot of historical facts, and there's a lot of urban legends in there too.
Awesome.
Which, what Rob was saying, I think a lot of urban legends have that truth to it that,
Oh, I believe it.
true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe that 100%. I've been told that too many times, and even from our own, well, maybe not our own experiences that we didn't live way back in the day, but even some urban legends are created even now, right? Which that's again another topic for another
Oh,
day.
absolutely.
Hey, Krista, do we have any more questions? Did we get all the questions that were left
No,
from DA?
no, there is another question. That's a great question. Kinsey asks, DA, out of all your books, which is your favorite and why?
Hmm.
That's hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think so far my favorite book is my first of the Creeper Keeper series, The Haunting of Great Cliff Manor, just because I wrote the book up around the Hudson Valley and it had the big manor, which a lot of the houses up in that particular area are really magnificent and mansions and all that. And it was really fun to research and see a lot of the names that came in through the ports because, the turn of the, century when in the 1900s when we started building it up. But, and I really love how I made it a surprise ending at the end because it became a boarding school. So, you just have to read it. It's a really fun book.
So where can we get your books? Because I do collect books. However, I buy them when I can get them signed. Got to have autographs.
Yeah, you can actually message me and I can send you something out. We can work that out.
Okay.
Also, it's on expanded distribution, so some warehouses are carrying it. You can get it at Amazon, which where a lot of people get books from. Barnes and Nobles. There's some libraries that have it, and then of course you can message me and I can get you a signed copy.
Very cool. Awesome.
And of course, for a DA, all of her links are in this show. So the Amazon links in there, your YouTube's in there, your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I loaded you up with all your links.
I appreciate that, Rob. That really helps. Thank you so much.
And I will. And again, the moderators, they blasted your stuff all night long.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. I don't know who you are, but I appreciate that.
Yeah,
definitely being able to see who is doing it.
Yeah, and there's a handful of them out there.
I appreciate you guys so much.
And I also wanted to thank. I want to thank War Criminal, Catherine Gay, Poncho Zorch, Kenzie Keeney, Michelle Delaney again, Jennifer Patterson, and Mindfork, and Kenzie Keeney again. Wow, Kenzie Keeney again, and Maggie M10. Wow, great night. Thanks for those super chats. It is most appreciated. I love you all. Make sure if you're new here, subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube. The Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. Texas Front Porch found on YouTube. And DA, what's the name of your YouTube channel? I know it's the links out there, but what's that called again?
It's DA Wysong, Paranormal Author, Monster Hunters.
Okay.
And it's just basically for updates on my book.
Yeah, kind of a marketing tool. Yeah. I get
it. Well, I did just go and subscribe to you.
Well, I appreciate that. I've actually got a second channel called DA Wysong, Ghosts of Northern Kentucky, which I do uploads for the places that I was investigating, like Bobby Mackey's and such. So that's my second channel too. But I appreciate that, Krista. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think I subscribed a while back anyway. So
send me both links because I just subscribed to one. And it's the one they've been sharing in chat. So
I appreciate
so that way I make sure that I'm subscribed to both.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And today is Tuesday, so I don't think we have shows anymore on Wednesday. Thursday afternoon, me and Barry Littleton come on at 1.
Well, tomorrow night, actually, on Wednesday is Bart Nunley.
That's right. Bart Nunley. Go check out Bart, Krista, and Brandy, and Letitia. And they Bart Nunley live.
Yeah, it'll be on Inhumanoids with Bart Nunley.
Yeah. Okay. I got to put him in the thing, too, for that on my schedule. We had so many dang shows. I got to redo this, Krista. Anyway, that's for the shows. And you got Thursday at 9 p.m. You've got, what's that going to be? You guys will be traveling, right?
Brandy and I will be traveling Thursday and Friday. So I have no idea what Thursday night show is going to be. It's Jason McLean and Donnie Cho. So that could be scary.
That'll definitely be scary.
And then Friday night, I've got you and Paranormal Paul, Paranormal Among Us. And you guys have a guest that had
we've got a guest, a guy that came across an incredible Bigfoot encounter. So that'll be Friday with me and Paul on your channel. So.
Yep. That'd be a good one too.
So it's gonna be a great week of fun, a
Mhm.
great fun week. And
Yep.
again, for Krista and for DA, thanks for everybody for coming on in. Most appreciated. Love y'all. Until next time,
Thank you.
BMR. Thank
See
you,
y'all.
Bye.
DA. And we are out.